UFC Vegas 80. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. After an off week, we're back at it, and I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure to share the video as well. And also note, I will be live for the entire UFC Vegas 80 fight card Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Do not miss the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight of the night. The ladies going after it. It's Montana De La Rosa versus JJ Aldrich. I'm going to be picking the side of Montana De La Rosa in this fight here. I feel as though she has a bit more potential than the side of JJ Aldrich. I think she's a little physically stronger and more athletic. Neither girl is somebody I'm jumping up and down about as a future world champ here, but I think that De La Rosa might outmuscle her in the clinch. Could be competitive in the stand-up, but maybe some more moments for De La Rosa on the feet. She's younger too, right? So the De La Rosa side I see with more potential in the long term. I gotta go De La Rosa. I gotta go decision. I think she's got better wins. And Aldrich, I mean, granted, Aldrich has that Jillian Robertson win that looks, fairly good. If you look at the last couple, you can see losses. Tatiana Suarez lost. Like, she's a top tier fighter. She might be one of the best fighters on the fucking planet. Macy Barber lost. She's a good contender. Then you got a win over Lipsky. Here, the La Niang fight or Niang La fight. Holy shit. That match, I don't want to say it doesn't count because it is a legit win. And in fighting, every fucking win counts. But I'll be 100% honest with you guys. That girl is, for a 19-6 fighter, crazy reckless, low fight IQ. Like, yeah, good that JJ won the fight. She had 2 losses. Lipsky beat her, and then Blanchfield beat her. I think De La Rosa does too. I'm going to say De La Rosa on the cards. Minus 125 for a win for De La Rosa. Aldrich as the underdog in this fight. She's sitting at around plus 105. I like Montana De La Rosa to win. Close money fight for a good reason. These girls are fairly competitive. I got De La Rosa getting it done. She's going to win the fight. Let's keep running up the card. Next fight on the card, we got Nate Maness versus Mateus Mendonça. I think that Mendonça is gonna win, but I feel like it's gonna be harder than what like the betting lines will have you believe in. I feel like the side of Nate Maness is kind of like criminally underrated. I feel like he gets slept on a lot, and he's actually pretty good. I like Nate Maness' style. He's a long guy that can definitely fight pretty well from the outside, but it's also good on the inside too. And when opponents are shooting takedowns, he'll threaten with guillotine chokes. Good southpaw stance for him. Just I don't know. I feel like there's certain moments where he kind of gets a little bit frozen in there. And then I got to shoot the box Diego Lima protege who, yeah, he lost to Javid Basharat. Is it Javid or Farid? Because I mixed the two up on the reg. Yes, he lost to Javid Basharat. That's not even a bad loss. The Basharat brothers are absolute savages with well-rounded skill sets. I think that Mendonça has good Muay Thai. He's aggressive. He's powerful. He's got the strength advantage in this fight, being the shorter guy, but he's not at a reach disadvantage, which is something I like. I expect him to put a lot of pressure on Nate Maness, and I do think he gets a decision win. I know Nate last time out was locked in a quick sub by Tagiru Lembekov. One fight prior to that, though, I mean, we got to give him some respect. We got to give him some accolades, right? The dude went distant with Umar Nurmagomedov. This is a big opportunity for Mendonça. Mendonça. I've heard it multiple ways, but I think it's Mendonça. That's how they're pronouncing it around now. It sounds like he's a Frenchman. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to hurt Nate Maness a couple times on the feet. He's going to back Nate up and pressure him against the cage. And I think the younger fighter wins this fight here. I like Mendonça for the victory. Now, I don't like the betting lines. And the minus 225 is not horrible. We saw at open even money though, right? So a lot of money now coming down, spreading the lines out. Nate Maness plus 190. Is Maness a horrible underdog? He's not. I don't think he's a terrible underdog. If you were like, yo, I want to play the dog in this, do you think he has a shot? Nate Maness is 14-3 for a reason, and he's got some UFC wins. He beat Tony Gravely, the Luke Sanders fight. The Johnny Munoz one was like a coin flip type competitive matchup. Mendonça is looking for his first UFC victory. Yes, he's an inflated line. I really think he can win the fight. I'm going to go Mendonça by a decision over Nate Maness in the second fight on the card. Next fight, ladies going after it once again. Kanako Murata versus Vanessa Demopoulos. I'm picking Murata to win for sure. This to me is a slight no-brainer here. I think Murata is going to have a big physical strength advantage. I know Demopoulos has pretty decent jiu-jitsu, but like look at Murata. She's got that thick frame. She's explosive, fast, and physically strong. Definitely can throw some heavy ground and pound if you give her the chance to posture up from top position. She also moves really well. She has a nice bounce to her style. She's a southpaw. I'd say she's faster, more athletic, more physically strong, and I think better overall. Demopoulos has got okay stand-up, decent Muay Thai for sure. I'll give her some credit. Okay, maybe is an under assessment. Like she's got UFC victories, and she's not a girl that does horrible. She beat Jin Frey, even though I thought that she actually lost that fight. Maria Oliveira, legit win. Granted, like Oliveira, they said wasn't she doing a movie before that fight? Like, she didn't even come prepared. Kowalkiewicz whooped her, though. Kowalkiewicz put it on her. Gomez Juarez armbar, but she was dropped. And then, yeah, JJ Aldrich beat her. I think Murata can win a decision. I mean, she's been out for a while, 2 years. But her loss to Verna Jandiroba, not a bad loss, especially because the shoulder was dislocated and she still wanted to fight. The heart on this girl is off the fucking charts. Beat it Ronda Marcos, who now, we don't even think about Ronda Marcos, but maybe at that time, 3 years ago, a decent grappler and ultimate fighter veteran. I think Murata's winning for sure. Murata is a minus 350 favorite with Demopoulos as a plus 285 underdog. That's Murata win. Can she get a finish though? I'm having a hard time seeing. I don't know. I'm feeling decision. Right? You see, she's got some subs, but like to sub up Vanessa Demopoulos, I think it would be more likely Murata to potentially ground and pound stop a Demop than sub her up because her jits is good. I like Murata. I'm going to say unanimous decision. I'm going Murata for the win, though, for sure. I think she gets a nice victory in her comeback fight here in the UFC. Next fight on the card, it's Johnny Munoz Jr. versus Aoriqileng. I'm actually picking Aoriqileng to win, and I think that Johnny Munoz Jr. is okay. It's just he doesn't have any like X factor ability that I look at in this fight, and I'm like, yo, he's gonna get the knockout. People will say to me, I already can see it. Bro, Amian Zahabi slept Aoriqileng. How can you pick him? Okay, Aori only got knocked out once ever as a pro, and that was to Amian Zahabi with like a weird overhand left shot that came through, and that's how the game goes. And actually, I picked Zahabi to win that fight as an underdog, but I still think Aoriqileng is quite a dangerous fighter. He's definitely the harder puncher. He has a solid wrestling base. I think Johnny Munoz is okay with his hands, but he's going to be spamming takedowns. And like he doesn't have this crazy success rate of being able to out grapple guys. I think that he has decent grappling skill when he does get to the floor, but Aori's going to be strong as fuck. And I feel like it's going to be really hard for Johnny Munoz to now get him down, but then do work from top. And then when we're looking at the stand up, I don't think Johnny Munoz is a heavy handed guy. I think Aoriqileng has more power than maybe even, his UFC knockout record shows. What does he got? Just he's got the 1 KO and then he's got the decision, but he can crack though. He's got a mean left hook. He's a heavy-handed guy with like that kind of intimidating, like upright, modified MMA, Muay Thai striking. Munoz Jr. stand-up just doesn't really impress me. So I'm going Aoriqileng. I think he's going to be powerful. I think he's going to be dangerous. And I do think he rights the wrong of the last one, which was 3 months ago against Zahabi, a flash knockout. I think he can beat Johnny Munoz Jr. in a knockout. I'm going to say a knockout. Even money fight here. Minus 113 for Munoz. Aoriqileng minus 107. If you're on the betting side, you want to throw down on it. I guess one potential concern you can say, and I'll say it's a fair concern, is the fact that Aori just was knocked out 3 months ago, but Johnny Munoz doesn't have huge power, and it will really take a money punch. I don't think he's that slick either. I think Aori can sleep him. I think Aori's more scary than him on the feet, and I think that ultimately he can find that chin and get a knockout. Wouldn't blow my mind if they went distance, but I'm going Aori for the win, and I'm calling knockout officially. Next fight is Chris Gutierrez versus Montel Jackson. I sat on this one for a little bit. And I'm going to pick Chris Gutierrez. Initial instinct inside of me I felt was Gutierrez has the striking capabilities to win. And I think that he took one loss to a really proven veteran, Pedro Munoz, who's been in the rankings forever. And it's like all of a sudden now Chris Gutierrez is being slept on because he's an underdog against Montel Jackson. Now, granted, Montel Jackson is actually pretty good, right? He's a long as hell guy. He's got good length. He doesn't have huge power in his hands, though. And I think that there's something that Montel Jackson has that's a vulnerability here for Chris Gutierrez is the fact that he has somewhat of a wide stance, right? I see fucking leg kicks landing. And obviously the takedown threat is very viable for Montel Jackson. It's a factor in this fight. I think that Chris Gutierrez is being slept on by the books, though. And I think that he's a very solid kickboxer who was just a favorite going in to fight Pedro Munoz. Now taking on Montel Jackson, who is good. Nonetheless, Montel Jackson's good. I'll agree with that. But he's not like overly good. He's quick. Well, that's why his nickname's Quick, but he's got quick hands. He moves pretty well on the outside, works a decent jab, mixes in wrestling, can definitely embrace the grind when he needs to. But like I'm never overly impressed with Montel, and I feel like sometimes he's a bit stiff. I could see Chris Gutierrez hurting him. I mean, Chris Gutierrez had everything going for him. He looked like a future title challenger. Knocks out Frankie Edgar. Before that, the Dana Batagaro win. And then Pedro Munoz beats him up. And it's like now, big underdog here against Montel Jackson. I just don't know with Montel, right? Beating Ronnie Yaya doesn't tell us a lot. Chris Gutierrez will crush him. Beating Julio Arce, something I could see Gutierrez dominating in. JP Bays, I think Chris Gutierrez would knock him out. Jesse Strader. Like, you look at the opposition. Yes, Montel Jackson is on a nice streak, and he's got good wins, and he's a solid fighter, and he's got a nice reach advantage here. And normally that reach advantage would concern me a fuck ton. But the reason is I'm not overly concerned is there's not huge power with Montel, and also the fact that Gutierrez uses his legs extremely well. I'm going to pick Chris Gutierrez to win. Yes, he's an underdog, and he is a dog for a reason. It's because his opponent has, like, some clear physical advantages over him. A huge reach advantage is a fucking huge thing. Plus 160 for Chris Gutierrez as the underdog to Montel Jackson, the minus 185 favorite. I think Chris Gutierrez can get a win by knockout here. I feel like he could hurt Montel. The leg kicks are going to be a huge key to victory. Could also get on the cards, too, in a competitive 3 rounds. I'm not sleeping on Chris Gutierrez. I'm not writing him off after a loss to Pedro Munoz. Montel hasn't proven himself at a high level yet. He's got all the physical tools to be a dangerous force at 135 pounds. I mean, 75.5-inch reach is crazy, but he's not a heavy hitter. I think Chris Gutierrez can win this thing. I'm going to pick Chris Gutierrez over Montel Jackson, guys. I'm gonna ride with his side. Montel might go out there in style, but I'm going to believe in Chris Gutierrez, man. I've always been on Chris. I've been a fan. I've been believing in him before. Whereas Montel, like, I'll pick him, but he's like I don't want to say he's underwhelming. Against Yaya, he looked great. Next fight is our featured prelim. Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Diana Belbiţă. I'm picking Diana Belbiţă to win the fight. I think that it's kind of surprising that Kowalkiewicz is, a big favorite here, but also just look at the physicality. 5'7" to 5'3", 68-inch reach to 64. 10 years younger for Belbiţă. There's some advantages here. And I know the last fight, you'll say, bro, but you didn't even fucking rely on the reach in the last one. Fair point, but different fight, different matchup, different division. This is the women's game, too. I think Belbiţă's real vicious. She throws like good ducking, straight shots, does have some heavy kicks that she can work as well. And I'd say she's athletic and improving. She's only 27. Kowalkiewicz is 37. Kowalkiewicz, I thought, was done with her career a while ago. And now, respect where it's due, right? She's on a tear. Felice Herring win. Great win. Sure. Not a great name, like high level, at least at the time. Herring at one point was pretty good. Gomez Juarez, okay, sure. Vanessa Demopoulos, okay, sure. I think that Diana Belbiţă is going to be a scary fight. Now, Belbiţă makes mistakes. She gets put on her back sometimes. I just don't think Kowalkiewicz is going to have an easy time from top position. If they are on the floor, can she chain wrestle all night? I think Belbiţă could stop takedowns. Tricky women's fight, I'm going dog. I'm going for the dog, but not just because she's a dog. I'd be picking Belbiţă if she was the favorite. Sorry, guys, I gotta wipe my nose a little. I'm still recovering, man. Still recovering. This nose is is taking a fucking beating this past week. And you guys haven't seen me every day per usual. The people that know, they knew that I got sick on Sunday. I think that the side of Diana Belbiṭă can win this fight, scrapping on the feet, maintaining some distance, not getting put on her back consistently. She's going to be faster. She's going to have the better stand-up than Kowalkiewicz. She might knock Kowalkiewicz out. I'll pick Belbiṭă. I'll pick a decision, but I would like to see a knockout. Plus 134 for Belbiṭă. She opened up at plus 130. And then spread all the way to plus 185. Kowalkiewicz, the minus 154 favorite. I'm going to go Belbiṭă. I think she beats Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Big physicality advantage, the younger fighter, all the potential in the fucking world here. I'm going with the side of Belbiṭă to get the win. Let's go. Belbiṭă for the W. And last time out, I mean, she beat Mariah Oliveira. Got to give her some respects with that win. I know Oliveira is not super top tier, but she's got like a menacing frame at the very least, being tall and long. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Bill Algeo versus Alexander Hernandez. Good main card opener. I actually think it's going to be a hell of a fight, and I'm going to pick the side of Bill Algeo to get the win. And I'm going to say submission win, guys. I think he's going to end up locking something up because I feel like the side of Hernandez, he comes out a little wild. He definitely is dangerous in the early rounds, but I hate him at 145. I think that he cuts a lot of weight to get down here, and that gas tank is going to be less than it would be at 55. And when you got Bill Algeo that can do a hard 3 rounds, he can grapple. He's going to be threatening with submissions. He's got a tricky, unorthodox striking style. And I think Hernandez at times is overly willing to absorb damage. I think the tricky style of Algeo is going to be, honestly, a key to victory. It's going to get him the win. I'm going with the dog for sure. I think the dog in him is Algeo, rather, not the betting lines. I'm going with the dog in the heart. Now, dog on the lines, no. Algeo's actually a bit of a favorite here. Bill Algeo is a minus 131 favorite with Alexander Hernandez as a plus 111 underdog. Those lines don't really shock me. I see it as close money fight. I think Algeo rear naked strangle. Algeo for the win, and I'm picking him by sub. I see it at the end of the second or into the third. Hernandez fatiguing a bit after a heavy start early and maybe some real dangerous moments. But Algeo will have the durability to survive. He will weather that storm, and then he will get a finish himself. I'm going Bill Algeo for the win. I think he's pulling it off. Last time out, he subbed up TJ Brown, split with Andre Fili. Fili's a monster. It's not a bad split. Fucked up Herbert Burns. Beat up Brito. That's a big win. And then, you look, Jim Miller win for Hernandez. It's at 155. Then he lost to Billy Q at 145. I don't want him at 45. I think his body responds better at 55. Obviously, he wants to make a cut because he sees it as, a more realistic path to a world championship is 145 pounds rather than 155. But I think Bill Algeo's going to give him hell. So give me Algeo for the win over Hernandez. I think that Hernandez at times breaks too, and I know Algeo won't break. Next fight on the card, Philipe Lins versus Ion Cutelaba. This is a weird one. I'm going to pick Ion Cutelaba because Lins, he never looks good. But at least he hasn't lately. I know you'll say, bro, but he's won 3 fights in a row. Okay, and I guess the OSP knockout, but he beat the corpse of OSP. Maxime Grisham fight, this clinching, holding, you know what? Give me a fucking pillow between that fight. I'll take a little rest on the fight companion. Not in this one, though, because he's fighting somebody that's an absolute menace. Cutelaba gives it hell. He's coming off of a quick knockout of Tanner Bozier. He hits really hard. He wrestles really well, and he attacks people early and is willing to throw caution to the wind and bring that gas tank all the way to fucking E. He doesn't care. He'll do it. He's a menace. I like the side of Cutelaba here. Yeah, I sleep on Cutelaba sometimes, but when you see that he's only 29, got a lot of room to grow. I think he's going to be like an absolute pit bull in there with Philipe Lins. He comes out like a bat out of hell, and I think Lins is slow. He doesn't have hand speed, really. He's got okay striking from the outside. He's got a length advantage, but he's not a heavy puncher at this point. And I think he's going to be getting cracked up by Cutelaba. And if they clinch up, Cutelaba will out-grapple him. I'm going with the side of Cutelaba. I think you get a knockout, maybe ground and pound. Cutelaba should get a victory. Minus 155 for Cutelaba with Lins, the plus 135 underdog. I like Cutelaba to get it done. I think he's winning here. I think he looks impressive. Like 3-fight losing streak he had recently. The Span loss, forgivable. Johnny Walker, forgivable. Not forgivable. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Forgivable, you know? And Zetchiku fight. And Zetchiku's 6'5", man. He's a freakish frame. I think that Cutelaba can beat a Philipe Lins. He's come off a nice knockout at Tanner Bozier where he showcased some big power, and he's got the wrestling threat that he can bring into this fight. So give me Cutelaba, give me win, and give me knockout. Let's go. Let's keep running up. Next fight on the card, we got Drew Dober versus Ricky Glenn. I mean, in an alternate universe, this is the main event because Ricky Glenn has a draw with Grant Dawson, who's the main event, and Drew Dober has a recent knockout win over Bobby Green. So you know what? This is the low-key main event right here. Now, looking at where these guys are at right now, you got to pick Drew Dober to win, and I think he probably gets a knockout. Ricky Glenn has never been a big puncher, and yes, I know he got a stoppage win like 3 fights ago against Joaquin Silva, and Silva gave hell to Arman Sarukian. Sure, we'll talk MMA math all day. Then Yagos knocked him out pretty quick in their fight. Drew Dober can definitely crack, and I see him putting a lot of pressure on Ricky Glenn. Glenn's best game, though, is taking fights to the floor, working his grappling. I think he's going to be forced into a stand-up fight because I don't think he has the wrestling to, easily get Drew Dober down or at least consistently get him down. And then it'd be another thing to hold him down. And then when you look at them mixing up on the feet, Dober definitely hits harder. Drew Dober definitely punches harder. Both guys are notoriously durable, though. So Ricky Glenn, that was his first knockout loss. That was the Yagos fight last time. First knockout loss as a pro MMA fighter. Drew Dober was knocked out by Frivola last time out, and that was his second ever KO loss, but first in the UFC. It'd been a very long time. I think that the side of Drew Dober can potentially get a knockout here, but I will say this. Concern is 2 guys coming off of knockout losses, right? 4 months ago and 4 months ago. Potential gun shy, maybe earlier on, a bit more of a feeling out process than we're normally used to with Drew Dober. Just something to consider. Not saying that's an absolute guarantee, but maybe. But Dober likes to crack. We know he likes to bang, and he takes a really good punch, but he takes a lot of punishment. I don't think Ricky Glenn's got the stopping power to do it. And I guess the truth is I'm like, do I see Drew Dober getting taken down, beaten up, and finished off, submission, or, some type of ground and pound? Have a hard time seeing that. So I'm picking Drew Dober to win. I'm thinking there's a chance for a knockout, but decision is not going to blow my mind either. I'm picking Dober, though, to get the W. Method of victory is what it is. Then you get stupid lines like this. Minus 425 for Drew Dober and Ricky Glenn plus 325. And there's not a 0% chance Rick Glenn somehow wins this fight. Especially if they both play it more patiently. We got a fight going long. Maybe Glenn lands a couple of takedowns, gets some good positions on the ground. I don't know. Plus 325. That's a big underdog tag for a guy that skill set outweighs that tag. Like he has a draw with Grant Dawson recently. Regardless of him getting fucked up the first 2 rounds, he dominated that 3rd round, beat up Grant Dawson. I think that the side of Drew Dober gets it done. I'm picking Drew Dober. But I think the betting odds are stupid here. Really stupid. Way too wide. What they open at? Let's find out. They opened at minus 410 for Dober. Damn. Drew Dober's the pick. But you can't fully count out Rick Glenn. And when you see odds like that, it's like a trap line almost. But he probably wins. He probably does. Let's get to the featured bout of the night. It's Alex Morono versus Joaquin Buckley. I'm going to be picking Joaquin Buckley. I like Alex Morono a lot. I've definitely become a fan of Morono in the past few years. He's always given good fights. He cracks on the feet. He'll eat some shots and land some of his own too. Moves well on the outside. Good overhand punches. It's just Buckley is so much more athletic, so much more muscle mass in the frame too. Like if you see them, I don't know. We'll see how they look inside of the cage. But when you watch tape of Buckley, and then you look at Morono, like you look like 2 different weight classes. Looks like 2 different weight classes. I think that the side of Buckley's power is dangerous, but not only is it going to be one touch KO power, it's going to be setting shots up. And something that I feel is a potential X factor is the fact that Buckley has great dexterity in his legs and slick high kicks. If you look at Alex Morono, he's an orthodox fighter, right? And he's going to be throwing punches out there. But Buckley from the southpaw stance is going to be threatening with kicks. I can see Morono leaving that right hand a little low, a little long, because sometimes at times he leaves it out there just a tad. The high kick of Buckley. Granted, that's what he got a knockout of the year with the spinning back kick to the face. He got a high kick knockout last time out. Buckley's high kicks are dangerous. Now, I know Alex Morono is definitely going to be preparing for Buckley's high kick threat, but either way, his style could potentially get caught with a big high kick, and I think that would be fight over. So I am going to pick Buckley by knockout. I'm thinking there's a chance of a high kick, but even the hands of Buckley, he's so explosive, he could hurt Alex Morono in this fight. He's going to have a speed advantage. Morono's an absolute dog, and he's got a fun style to watch, but he's fighting a much more gifted athletic specimen than himself. Morono's a plus 150 dog. I think that makes sense. Buckley is a minus 175 favorite. I'm just having a hard time seeing Morono knocking out a Buckley. I think Buckley's chin will hold up well in this matchup, and I think he'll be the one doing the damage. So I'm going with Buckley, the more athletic fighter, the more explosive fighter, and ultimately I think he's going to end up getting a knockout, dude. I think he's putting Alex Morono to bed. I'm going with Numansa Buckley over the great white Alex Morono. Buckley by KO, guys. That's the pick in this one. Next fight on the card is the co-main event. It's Joe Pyfer versus Abdul Razak Alhassan. I'm picking Joe Pyfer to win this fight. I feel like he definitely is in for maybe more trouble than the lines look like because he's a big-ass favorite. Because Abdul Razak Alhassan can crack really well. He's super explosive. He's coming off of a nice knockout of Claudio Ribeiro. Granted, Ribeiro is like, I don't want to say super mid, but like he leaves a lot to be desired. That's a nice way of putting it. Because his hands don't always return to his face. He has a lot of fat on his punches. And Razak Alhassan takes advantage of that. He's an extremely dangerous guy. He's been in the UFC a very long time. He's a heavy-handed power puncher taking on Joe Pyfer, though, who's 11 years younger, has a bit of a reach edge, not crazy, a lot taller. I think that Pyfer's definitely got the better jiu-jitsu of the two. I think he's going to be faster on the feet. Power for power, I mean, it looks like Abdul Razak Alhassan would have that one-shot thud. It's just, I think Joe Pyfer could avoid those shots by just be a more cerebral striker, really. And I think also there's a chance of Pyfer mixing in some grappling. Now, the Judo Thunder is the nickname for Razak Alhassan because he has a judo background, normally has a very good base. But I can see Pyfer giving him problems in the grappling positions as well. I think Pyfer can get a finish here, potentially two. I can see him hurting Abdul Razak Alhassan in the third, even the second round. Could be earlier as well, but I think early the power threat from Abdul Razak Alhassan will have Pyfer playing it a little more cautious because in that first round, even the first two rounds, Abdul Razak Alhassan, when he's got that near full bar of stamina, he can let hands fly. I think he could potentially get chinned by Pyfer, though. Now, it wouldn't blow my mind if Pyfer dropped him and then followed up with a sub attempt. And it wouldn't be crazy if Joe Pyfer was forced to go distance here. But I'm going to say KO. I'm going to go Joe Pyfer by knockout. Looking at the win, the Mearshart destruction. He broke Mearshart, beat up Amedovski, really not UFC caliber. And then you see a recent loss there, split with Buckley. Abdul Razak gave it hell that fight. Di Chirico, the Italian, knockout win there. Malhoun beat him. And Chaos Williams chinned him in one shot, man. That Chaos Williams knockout kind of jumped the stock of Chaos through the roof, but unfortunately, like the reality of him has been a bit of a letdown lately. Minus 475 for Joe Pyfer with Abdul Razak Alhassan as a plus 375 underdog. Plus 375. Yeah, I think Body Bags is going to get the win. Geez, minus 475. Big favorite. Like, Razak Alhassan, you can say he's got a puncher's chance, but 27, prospect on the come up, confidence through the roof, good striking, good grappling, good athleticism. It's Joe Pyfer's fight to lose here, and I don't think he's gonna. Pyfer for the win. Let's get to the main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green. Yes, I'm picking Grant Dawson. Is anybody surprised? Let me know if you're surprised in the comments. There's definitely going to be a few Bobby Green believers out there. I just think Grant Dawson's going to out-grapple him, like, significantly. The dominance of Damir Ismagulov really jumped out and made me say, wow, Grant Dawson, he can wrestle his ass off. Like, he's the closest thing to the Dagestanis from, a white boy from Florida could ever be. I think Grant Dawson does a good job getting this fight to the ground. He's going to be looking to press Bobby Green, probably cage work. We're in the small cage, which I think that comes in handy for Grant Dawson, backing Bobby Green up there. Green wants to scrap. Green's got very good hands. He's incredibly fast. He has nice reflexes, keeps his hands low. At the end of the day, I think Grant Dawson will be pretty educated with his stand-up and picking his shots intelligently, looking to then mix in the grappling onslaught. And it's not just going to be one takedown. It's going to be Grant Dawson looking to chain wrestle, looking to get on top, looking to do work. And he doesn't just have 3 rounds to do work. He has 5, which I think that's an important factor. But something to note is Grant Dawson brutally gassed against Ricky Glenn, and that's why it was a draw, because he was dead in the 3rd round and Ricky Glenn was beating him up. He was killing Ricky Glenn in the first 2 rounds. I think that Bobby Green, if he's putting those bad spots on the ground, I think he's getting finished, though. I'm going to say Grant Dawson win by submission. I think he can get him in the 2nd or 3rd. I think Dawson's going to put a high-paced grappling onslaught on Bobby Green, and unfortunately, I don't think Green can keep up. Green's coming off of the W over Tony Ferguson last time out. It was a little over a month ago. Before that, he had that no contest with Jared Gordon because the head clash. And then Dober flatlined him, and then Makhachev really fucked him up on the ground. And I think I think Dawson is going to look at that fight with Makhachev and say, okay, if we put him on his back, with the pressure that I got, he's going to be in trouble. And Dawson, since that draw to Ricky Glenn, he's been on a tear and looking like a killer. Strangled Jared Gordon, strangled Marco Madsen, and then beat up Damir Ismagulov for 3 rounds. And Ismagulov is a very feared striker. I think that Bobby Green's on his back getting beaten up, but I don't think he hears the final bell. I'm going Dawson, going win by submission. I'm thinking rear naked choke is very live. Rear naked strangle, I should say. Minus 400 for Grant Dawson. Yes, he's a wide favorite. He's in a very winnable matchup here against a legend of the game. High-profile veteran Bobby Green. But Bobby's plus 300 as a dog. I think he's in trouble. Grant Dawson's going to beat him. I got Grant Dawson in the main event. UFC Vegas 80 going down this Saturday. I am so glad to have the UFC back, my people. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe and turn the post notifications on too. Don't just put them on personalized, put them on all so you don't miss a video. I'm trying to drop tons of content. You guys know the daily content flow is now back. Moneyline tomorrow, Contender Series picks tomorrow. And then, Tuesday, the live stream for Contender and so on and so forth. So keep it locked in on the channel. You don't want to miss a thing. Let me know what you think of the picks in the comments down below. Drop your picks in there. And if you have nothing to say in the comments, you just enjoy the content, as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Recording the show off of the new machine, the new PC. So this is the first ever new PC full card breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you all for tuning into the show, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everybody.